Hi, today we're going to be covering Lesson 1, Session 2. Today we will be using addition and multiplication to find the volume of rectangular prisms. So we're further deepening our understanding of volume. We're going to be working in the workbook on pages 9 and 10, so go ahead and open your workbook now to page 9. Today we're going to be looking at, developing an understanding of volume. So we're going to start out with problem 1, where it says, the rectangular prism shown below is made of unit cubes with no gaps or overlaps between the cubes. So remember yesterday we had a page where we had unit cubes that were filling the rectangular prism, but not all the way. There were gaps in this case. So remember that in this case, they're telling you that there are no overlapping cubes and there's no space between the cubes, that all of these unit cubes completely fill the rectangular prism. And we know that the volume of one of these cubes is 1 unit cube. So the first thing we want to do is to write an addition equation to find the volume of the prism. In order to do this, this is when I love to use my highlighters. So if you can, pull out your set of highlighters, and I would like you to choose 3 different colors of highlighters. For today, I'm going to choose pink, orange, and yellow. The reason I chose 3 colors of highlighters is because I'm going to highlight 3 different layers of cubes. So watch and learn. I'm going to go ahead and start on the top layer. So I'm going to color in all of the cubes that are in the top layer of the rectangular prism. So this is a layer here. This is one layer. And a layer means that in this case, this rectangular prism has 1 layer, 2 layers, 3 layers. That's why I chose 3 different colors of highlighters, because there's 3 layers of cubes. So I've already done my yellow layer. Now I'm going to highlight my purple layer, which is just the next layer down. And finally, I'm going to highlight the 3rd layer in orange. Here's what's super cool about layers in a rectangular prism. Because this rectangular prism has each length of the unit cube, each of these edges of the unit cube is worth 1 unit. And so we know that we can count how many unit cubes are in the top layer, and then each layer is going to have the same number of unit cubes. So we need to count how many unit cubes are in this top layer. It's really, some people think that you need to count every single square to see how many units there are, how many cubes there are in the top layer, but you're not counting how many faces. The faces are like each side of the cube. You're not counting how many faces there are. In this case, we're just going to count how many cubes, and we're just going to count the tops of the cubes, so that way we don't accidentally count too many cubes. So we're going to count, and on this top layer we have 1, 2, 3, I'm going to put a dot on it. How about that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cubes. So we have, there we go, autofocus. So we have 6 unit cubes on this top layer. If we have 6 on the top layer, that means we also have 6 unit cubes on the second layer and 6 unit cubes on the 3rd layer. So what I'd like for you to do right now is write an addition equation to find the volume of this prism. If we know that there's 6, 6, and 6, what equation can we write? Go ahead and pause the video and write your equation. All right, I hope that this is what you wrote. So we're going to say 6 plus 6 plus 6 equals 18 cubic units. Because remember, we always label volume in cubic units. So in this case, we have 6 plus 6 plus 6 to equal 18 cubic units. Now, part B says, explain what each number in your addition equation represents. So how we want to know how many layers are there? How many cubes, I'm going to say unit cubes, not units, unit cubes in each layer. All right, so how many layers are there? That's right, there are 3 layers. That's why we have 3 6s. And then how many unit cubes are there in each layer? That's right, there are 6 unit cubes in each layer. Great job. So we know there are how many cubes in all? If there are 3 layers and 6 unit cubes in each layer, there are, I'm going to switch to pink, there are 18 unit cubes in all. Great job. Now we're going to go to number 2. Number 2 says, suppose you added another layer. So we're going to come up to our rectangular prism, and I'm actually going to add another layer. So if we added another layer, don't worry, I have another color of highlighter, and I'm going to highlight that last layer pink. Now, suppose you add another layer of cubes on top of the rectangular prism in problem 1. All right, I put it on the bottom, but you get the idea. What would be your addition equation for the new rectangular prism? What would be the new volume? So, this layer has 6 unit cubes. This layer has 6 unit cubes. This layer has 6 unit cubes. How many unit cubes would this layer have? That's right, you're going to have 6 more unit cubes because whatever the top layer has, remember there's no spaces and no overlapping, so you're going to have the same number of unit cubes. So then go ahead and pause the video and write your new addition equation now that we have 4 layers instead of 3. All right, I hope you paused it. So the new equation would be 6 plus 6 plus 6 plus 6 equals, because we have 4 layers in our rectangular prism, there's 6 in each layer, that would be 24 cubic units. So the addition equation would be 6 plus 6 plus 6 plus 6. And then what would be the new volume? 24 cubic units. All right, let's go ahead and turn the page and go to page 10. Now on page 10, before we were using addition to find the volume, but now we're going to use multiplication, and we're going to see how it is the same and how it's different. So what I like to do, remember, is I always like to highlight the colors of highlight the layers in the rectangular prism so that it's easy for you to pick out how many layers you have and then how many cubic units you have in each layer. So I'm going to highlight the top layer yellow. I'm going to highlight the second layer pink. And it's always fun to highlight. I'm a huge highlighting fan. I like to color. And then I'm going to highlight the bottom layer purple. So now I have 3 layers. I'm going to call this layer 1, layer 2, and layer 3. Next, I need to find out how many unit cubes do I have in each layer. So remember, we don't count all the sides of the layer. We're just going to count the top of the top layer. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So there are 8 cubes in the top layer, 8 cubes in the second layer, and 8 cubes in the third layer. So to write our multiplication equation, we need to find out how many layers are there. How many layers do we have? 3. How many unit cubes are in one layer? So we have unit cubes in one layer, and that equals 8. So how could we use the 3 and the 8 to create a multiplication sentence that would tell you how many unit cubes are in the rectangular prism all together? Go ahead and write that now. Yes, you're going to take the number of layers and multiply it by the number of unit cubes in each layer. And then you're going to get 24 cubic units. You need to remember to always label, when you say cubic units, the word cubic is what tells me that you're measuring volume. That's how we know that you're measuring a solid figure and not a plane figure. So we have 24 cubic units total. Now, in part B, I want you to go ahead and explain what each number in your multiplication equation represents. And there's a hint. I already wrote this down on the page somewhere. So tell me what each number represents. All right, the 3 is equal to layers. That's right. The 8 is talking about how many unit cubes in one layer. And then the 24 is the volume or total cubic units in the rectangular prism. So now we've done, on page 9, we solved a problem using addition. We added all of the unit cubes in one layer. We added one layer plus the second layer plus the third layer, and then for number 2 plus the fourth layer. And we used addition to find out how many unit cubes we had. For number 3, instead of using addition, this time we used multiplication. We still had the same information, but this time, instead of adding 8 plus 8 plus 8, we took a little shortcut and we said we have 8 cubic units in one layer. We have 3 layers, so we're going to multiply 3 layers times 8 units in one layer equals 24 cubic units in the whole rectangular prism. So right now, what I'd like for you to do is pause the video and answer this question. How are the addition and multiplication strategies for finding volume alike? How are they different? So if I were you, I would write the word alike and then different. And then I want you to tell me how they are alike and how they are different. Go ahead and pause the video. And then when you come back, you'll find out if you thought of the same things I did or if you thought of different things. All right, so for addition and multiplication, they are alike because we have the same shape, or I'm going to say the same prism. They're also alike because we use the same numbers. They're different because one way we add and one way we multiply. They're also alike because both ways get the same answer. It doesn't matter whether we add or we multiply in this case. We're going to get the same volume either way. For number 5, we're going to go ahead and finish number 5 before we're done with our math instruction for today, and you can move on to your independent work. Number 5 says figure A and figure B are built with unit cubes of the same size. Explain how to use the volume of figure A to find the volume of figure B. I want you to go ahead and think about it for a minute, pause the video, and I want you to tell me what do you what is the volume of figure B? And then tell me how you knew that. Okay, I really like using my highlighters, so I'm going to go ahead and highlight figure A pink. Now, I see that figure A has 1, 2, 3 unit cubes. So I'm going to come over to figure B and I'm going to color in just 3 of those unit cubes. So I can immediately see that I have colored in part of figure B with the same shape as what I filled in for figure A. So I know that the volume of figure A is how many unit cubes? That's right, 3 cubic units. Now I only colored in, I'm going to call this like a stick, 1 stick. How many sticks are in this rectangular prism if we filled it all together with no gaps and no overlapping? We could color in 1 stick, 2 sticks, all we see is the top, but we know it fills in the whole thing. 3, and finally 4. So we know that there are 4 of figure A and figure B. So if we know that we have 3 in figure A and we multiply it times the fact that we know that there are 4, this is similar to layers, except we normally look at layers going side to side. This is a layer, almost like a layer going up and down, because we're just talking about one stick and we have 4 sticks that are all put together. So if we multiply 3 in one stick times 4 sticks equals 12 cubic units. So that is the volume of figure B. Did you also figure that out? Super cool. All right, with that, we'll see you again tomorrow. Have a great time doing your math independent practice.